Hello, our fellow football degenerates. Welcome to the show, The Fix. I'm Dan. This is Chris. We're going to be your host of this new enterprise. If you're watching this, you probably know us and you want to hear us banter back and forth, or you're probably a degenerate like us. Chris and I have been friends for a long time. We have worked together, gambled together, watched sports together, played sports together. All of those things in our life pretty much has sports incorporated at every moment. So we enjoy all things sports, but more so than sports, what we like is the game within the game. So people like Chris and I have become diseased to the fact that we can't watch a game without another game simultaneously happening, whether it's fantasy football, parlay, gambling of any sort, playing cards, whatever it is. We've all grown kind of accustomed to that, and our bonds kind of based on that. So I am from the pro football capital of the universe, Canton, Ohio, as you see on my hat here. And Chris is from the home of Jeffrey Dahmer, Coventry, Ohio. By way of Detroit, though, as you see from the jerseys in the back, I'm a Tampa Bay Bucks fan, also a Browns fan, all things Cleveland sports. Chris is a Lions fan and all things Detroit, but he was a Lions fan before it was cool to be a Lions fan. So what we're going to do is we are going to kind of go through a bunch of scenarios for this Sunday of football. We got a packed slate this Sunday, quite a bit of games with implications for playoffs. This is also the first week of fantasy football playoffs. So if you're watching this and want to comment in, chat in, you got a start sit question, you want to know who to play, Chris and I will probably both chime in and give you answers. Usually Chris and I's answers could be a little bit different, but that's okay. We tend to kind of deduct the right answer from bantering back and forth a little bit. So we have conversations like this all the time. Joe gave us the platform to kind of come on the stream and do it, which we always do anyway on the real show, mostly talking about the Browns and stuff, but we wanted to expand to NFL, all the lines, all the picks from the week, all fantasy football and everything, cover a bunch of topics as fast as we can. So, Chris, you got anything to add to that before we get into the nitty gritty of this?
No, pretty much hit it on the head. This is where you listen to me and kind of tune Dan out.
Nice. Nice. As you can see, Chris is rocking the new Yosemite Sam stash, fresh for the winter season, ready for his Lions to escalate through the playoffs, despite the fact that if the Lions do win the Super Bowl, it is the biggest loss in Las Vegas history. So we know what comes next. We know what happens next. I hope, for Chris's sake, that he can avoid that unless the Lions play the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who is the only loss on their record so far this year. Chris, am I right?
You are right. You are right.
Boom. Boom. So we're going to go game by game. We're going to cover the lines. We're going to go over some plays we like in each individual game, kind of cover some stuff going on Football Sunday. This is an important Football Sunday for a lot of you guys that made the playoffs. I unfortunately missed the playoffs in about half my leagues. And in the ones I made it in, I have Cooper Kupp, who posted his second goose egg of his career since 2019 on Thursday night, which sucked. So we're going to start with the hometown game, which is what we mostly talk about anyway. We're going to get into Chiefs Browns. So the 12-1 Chiefs get to come to sunny, beautiful Cleveland, Ohio, to face the Cleveland Browns, who are 3-10 and are eliminated from playoffs and are trying everything they can to prove that they do not need a new head coach and a new general manager. The over-under for the game is 43. The Chiefs are a 4-point favorite. The Chiefs all time, or the Browns against the Chiefs, are 8-41 at home all time. So in 49 games, the Browns have won 8 of those games at their own stadium against the Kansas City Chiefs. Chris, who do you like in this game? What do you like for the line on this game?
I obviously I don't want to deal with the spread. I know it's 4.5. It could be a field goal game. It could be worse. My play here is under 43.
Under 43. Okay. Line 43.
I think
Vegas
both
looks like 24-20 type game, something like that.
No,
that's what Vegas looks like.
I think it'll be low scoring. I think both these teams, their strengths are defense, and they're both their offenses aren't really that special. I think it's a 17-13 type of game.
No Njoku possibly for the Browns. Big loss for them. Njoku, historically, if you are playing him or you have him in fantasy football, not a great player when hurt and doesn't do well getting through injury sometimes. Chris and I both have similar takes on Mr. David Njoku. Great talent when he's on. Seems like you always got to throw it at his head or above for him to catch the ball. And I kind of my theory with Njoku has always been built like Tarzan, plays like Jane. I always think he could get a little looser in the open field than he gets. Obviously, he's an incredible talent, athletic tight end, physical specimen, just a freak. But him being banged up is going to leave them a little bit of exposed. And I don't know what necessarily we're going to do against Kansas City's defensive line at all points. We have a banged up Chubb. I don't know that we can establish any type of run game. I think we're going to need some blessings that Jameis Winston will count on to get us through this game. I think probably 27-17 Chiefs, unfortunately, as much as I'd like the Browns to have a upset and that they're certainly capable of it. I think we need a lot of magic to happen, and it is hard to do without a kicker and our star tight end. So give me the Chiefs probably to cover 2, and I'll probably take the over slightly on the over. Anytime touchdown scores, Chris, who do you like to get in the end zone here?
In that game, obviously, Travis Kelce's coming home, and Browns kind of stink against the tight end. I don't know who I would pick for the Browns. Obviously, the one would be Jerry Jeudy because he's found it a couple games in a row. But other than that, though, I don't see them scoring touchdowns.
Yeah,
the Browns.
It's definitely a tough road.
Obviously, you could say Pacheco, maybe Xavier Worthy gets deep on one. I mean, here Emerson has been beat. Those boys have been beat, but I don't know. I think the Chiefs corners have played well. I don't know if Jeudy has a good game or not.
Yeah, it's gonna be a little tough sled, and I don't know if you can isolate him, have him as your only weapon, and expect him to go off. Elijah Moore's come up a little bit, so Jameis will be heaving it. You know that he always is. He's gonna heave it for sure. I like Noah Gray to get in the end zone as the second to Kelce distraction. Kelce seems like he's grooming him to replace him when he's gone. Super good athlete, runs a lot of the same routes. Once he gets accustomed to what Mahomes is doing the same way Kelce is, I think he can be dangerous. And then Pacheco is a plus 100 for the money line. Usually the running backs are pretty obvious. I don't think Pacheco's scored since he's been back, and I think he's probably due to get one in the end zone. They're probably going to want to get him going and get him up and running before their playoff run. So
and Kareem Hunt revenge game possibly too.
Yep.
Maybe it's a Kareem Hunt, Travis Kelce,
dual Cleveland game.
Yeah, coming back to Cleveland game.
Dual Cleveland game. Yeah, it could have been a Kadarius Toney revenge game. Philly barfed up that punt and threw the ball at somebody. Yeah, and got cut, and he's on to the next one. So, all right, give us your thoughts in the comments. It looks like a couple of comments on YouTube we got already of some comments there. Nice. Definitely not. No,
I'm in my basement.
He's saving these next few picks for the bathroom. Give us your comments in the chat. Let us know what you think the Browns-Chiefs score are going to be. We'll move on to some other games, but I want you guys to see. Thanks, Mike. Appreciate you. We're going to move on to some other games. We're going to stay in division, go to the Bengals-Titans next. We have the Bengals who lucked out and actually found a win due to a muffed block punt in one of the weirdest scenes I've ever seen. Going to Tennessee to play Mr. Mayonnaise himself, Will Levis, and the Titans in Tennessee. The Bengals are 5-point favorites on the road. The over-under is 46.5. Bengals, outside chance to get in the playoffs. Joe Burrow probably having the best season for a quarterback on a completely sorry team outside of Jamar Chase and Trey Hendrickson that has been had in history. I actually looked up the MVP odds earlier for the season because the type of numbers Burrow's doing right now has him MVP worthy, but the team itself is so bad that Burrow's MVP odds are plus 10,000 because he's on a 5-8 team. So Bengals -5. The Bengals, even when they beat teams, don't beat them by much. Tennessee, what are you playing for if you're Tennessee, Chris? Like, what are you doing outside of contracts and the players trying to hit their bonuses? They need a quarterback. They're currently projected to draft 7th, the way the current draft is set up, which would probably keep them out of that quarterback realm. What are you playing for right now if you're Tennessee?
Not much. Maybe a top 3 draft pick. I definitely think since he wins this game, but believe it or not, the Titans have allowed the least amount of passing yards in the NFL per game average.
Okay.
It's not necessarily easy to pass on these guys. Just maybe it's because they're down by halftime. Who knows? But I don't really love like T. Higgins, Jamar Chase in this one. I don't. I do think that I think the Bengals win. I think a lot of Chase Brown. I like Chase Brown in this one. Big.
You see, Chase Brown got fined for jumping in the Salvation Army Bowl.
Yeah.
And when they fined him, he said, "I hope it's not much. I don't make much."
Yeah, I don't make much. Yeah. Chase Brown is becoming a really good player, and he's fast, and I don't think that the Tennessee Titans can. And I like Chase Brown for 2 touchdowns this weekend.
Yep. Yeah.
If not
I like
3.
Chase Brown. I like Chase Brown too. I like the Titans to cover 5, but I like the Bengals to win. I think we got here maybe like a 31-28 game because I think the Titans are going to score up on the Bengals too. I think Calvin Ridley and NWI are going to have big games. I think Will Levis is good for 2 tutties on them. And I think the Bengals are going to do what the Bengals do and score 3 or 4 touchdowns. I think it's going to be a track meet in this game. I really, really like Ridley to get in the end zone. He's plus 150 to get in the end zone. And I like NWI. I mean, I think on the safe side that Ridley, where he's approaching, and with Tony Pollard going for 1,000 yards, I think the offense is going to move the ball. The Bengals D is soft. If you can block Trey Hendrickson, you can beat the Bengals D. J.C. Latham versus Trey Hendrickson is a pretty decent matchup, and I think it should be a track meet. I think that's one of the games I'm kind of locking in on for a lot of scoring in that game. That's a fantasy game where you're going to want to probably start everybody involved in that game or anybody close, except Chig Okonkwo, where he's blackballed. So you like Bengals or Titans to cover?
I like the Bengals to cover.
Bengals covering 5? Barely covered 5 against the Cowgirls.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't believe in him. I think Chase Brown again. I think it's a 125 total yards, 2 touchdown day for Chase Brown. I think, and I actually think Tony Pollard finds a touchdown too. I actually like this as a running back fantasy day.
RBs are easy pickings though. You know who the best athletes on the field are. Everybody knows who the best athletes on the field are at all times. They're the tight ends. Tight ends, best athletes in football, best athletes on the field. You got to love the tight ends. And when you get near the goal line, the tight ends need the rock. So speaking of tight ends, next game I got Ravens at Giants. So the Ravens are struggling a little bit. They need a little bounce back. They're slipping and falling behind where the Steelers are. They're 8-5. They are going on the road with the perfect cure and playing the New York Giants and Mr. Tommy Cutlets himself at 3-10. What are you playing for if you're the Giants right now?
I actually see them playing for a little bit more. I think their head coach has got them trying to play hard. I mean, obviously they need a quarterback. There's no doubt about it. But I mean, give me the Ravens. I don't think that the Ravens. I mean, it opened at -14. It's up to -16. I still think that they're. I think they'll be.
Anthony, you like the Tommy Cutlets. You like the Tommy Cutlets.
Give me Malik Neighbors to catch 10+ balls.
Wow.
They're going to be behind. The Ravens are actually worse against the pass.
Yeah.
They've lit up the most yards against the pass.
But that's before they got healthy. They got a little healthy though, right?
Yeah, but you're going to be behind. They're going to be behind. There's going to be a lot of garbage time. This game will be probably 30-0 by halftime, and then it's time to just, who else are you throwing it to if you're Tommy Cutlets? I mean,
Cutlass, the Cutlass Supreme, Tommy
Yeah.
Cutlets. So here's a couple stats on the game I actually saw in the game, which are crazy. And it may not matter to the current realm of either franchise, but the Giants are 3-1 at home all time against the Ravens. The Giants are also one of two teams that Harbaugh has never, ever beat on the road the entire time he's been with the Ravens. So 16 and a half points is a lot in the National Football League. That is a lot. Now, obviously, they think the Giants are going to fall down. The Giants want one of the first two picks, or one of the first three picks, assuming they can get their hands on Cam Ward. I think Dion has already explicitly said that he does not want his son playing for the New York Giants. Am I correct? And that he wants him to be a Las Vegas Raider.
He wants him to be. I don't know if he said that he doesn't want him to be a Giant, but he definitely wants them to be a Raider. But here, to be honest with you, what a bunch of bad 1 o'clock games.
There's some rough 1 o'clock games, but there's some upset specials in here.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know that the Giants are that upset, but historically the stats say that they could be and just come and play out of their mind, and Lamar just has a fart of a game. I don't think so. I think the Ravens use this as a get-right game. I think the Ravens do blow them out. I don't know that they win by 16 and a half points, but if you were really rolling the dice and really wanted to gamble with some money on just a huge upset, the Giants are a plus 750 money line. I mean, if you're a Giants fan out there, we got a couple Giants fans maybe watching or going to watch in the future. We know a couple Giants fans. My buddy Brandon, my buddy Ben are both Giants fans. If you want to roll the dice on old Tommy Cutlets with some hometown cooking against Lamar, that's a nice little chunk. My anytime TD guys, I like Mark Andrews. I like Mandrews to get in the end zone. And I like late night or late game garbage time, Keaton Mitchell. I think they start giving him the rock, and I think they start getting him going for the run as a little thunder and lightning with Derrick Henry outside of just the typical Justice Hill. I think he might get a quarter of carries to get right, and it only takes that dude one carry to go to the house. I like a plus 700 Keaton Mitchell touchdown late in garbage time.
I think that you're throwing away and burning money if you pick money line.
Well, that could be. Thus the odds are the same. But nevertheless, it is the NFL. Crazier things have happened. But this particular one should be pretty lopsided, in my opinion. Pretty lopsided. Moving on to the next game, we got another turd of a game. We got the Washington Commanders going to New Orleans. Washington Commanders are 7.5 point favorites on the road. The over-under for the game is 43.5. The next important game of any type that's played in New Orleans is the Super Bowl. So if you're the New Orleans Saints, what are you playing for here? You're starting Jake Haener instead of Rattler. You're starting Jake Haener, Fresno State. There's a lot of players that are in contractual situations that are probably playing for contracts and figuring out where their landing spot is. A lot of the questions we ask about what a team is playing for, if you watch Hard Knocks this week and you saw Shelby Harris in the locker room when they asked him, when they started talking about what you're playing for, he was very explicit of the fact of NFL players are real ones, don't roll over because we're always trying to figure out where we're getting our money next. It doesn't matter about the uniform you're wearing. I'm just being real with you. It's about the uniform I want to wear next and how I'm going to get paid in the future. So as much as teams could say, we want to tank, we want to throw the season away, we want to get the number one pick, whatever it is, these guys are professional athletes. They all have pride. They're all accustomed to winning. They're all geared to want to win. This particular game could sway the way of maybe the Saints keeping it closer because of Washington's defense. Jaden Daniels is the favorite to win Offensive Rookie of the Year still by a little bit. Him and McLaurin, they got a good offense running. The Saints have a bunch of preseason scout teamers that are running around on the field now. So what are you doing with this Saints game? What are you doing with Saints Commanders? What do you like on the line? What do you like for the over-under?
This one, to me, I think this one at plus 290 I have on the money line. That might be my upset on any of the 1 o'clock games. I think that the Saints could win this game. Me personally, they've been playing great since they made the coaching change. He's had them playing well in games that they shouldn't have been. They're always in it. I definitely like Saints plus 7, which is on ESPN Bet what that is. Give me the Saints +7 for sure. Their defense has still played well. I mean, somehow MVS is catching the ball and scoring touchdowns and
That itself is very rare. Valdez
yeah.
Scantling, another one that's blacklisted from anything I do is MVS. He
Well,
gets so wide open and cannot catch the ball. I refuse to
well,
believe he's good.
well, somehow, some way, these last 3 games, he has rejuvenated his career and is balling. Um, Give me Saints +7.5, and maybe my upset 1 o'clock special, Saints over Commanders.
When is the last time you've seen Jake Haener throw a pass?
You know,
Is this his first NFL start?
Good question.
I think it is. And,
It very well might be, but
and
again,
also he's
here
5'11". He's 5'11".
He's a listen. You got a rookie quarterback coming in the dirty South of New Orleans. I know it's Atlanta's the dirty South, but coming in New Orleans, I think that Saints defense keeps it close and very well could win that game. I'm not sold on the Commanders. I'm not.
Well, I'm not sold on the
Jaden
Commanders either. Believe me.
I think Jaden Daniels is going to be good, but at the end of the day, he is still a rookie. The offensive line has questions, and here, who knows? I think the Saints defense is still good. They're playing hard. They're playing for their coach that they got in there, and they're playing inspired football. And yeah, give me the Saints.
I got to be honest. I'm looking at Jake Haener's college stats. How did he get picked in the 4th round at Fresno State? I mean, he wasn't. I don't know. He's 5'11". He's technically 3rd string behind Rattler, wasn't he? Before that, I mean, this is going to be. Yeah, there you go. Haener's first start. So the stat on the game was 9 out of 10 times. 9 out of the last 10 games, the Commanders have covered the spread on the road. And 4 out of their last 5 games, they've gone over. I mean, the Commanders are one of those NFL teams. They can be hot or cold, but they're also one of the NFL teams. They can score 35 points in 1 half. And there's only a few of those teams out there that exist with how potent their offense can be. With McLaurin's connection, if he's hot, if they got it running, if Brian Robinson Jr. is running up and down the field, that game can get out of hand pretty quick. And I don't know if they let it get out of hand that Jake Haener can play catch up. I really, really like Jawan Johnson in this game because I feel like if they fall behind, they're going to use him as the outlet. The guy is an absolute just freaking monster of a human, and he is tough to guard regardless. He's going to get a lot of catches. I like him to get in the end zone as well. And then I like, obviously, Terry McLaurin somehow skipped into the positive side of the money line. He's +120 for anytime touchdown scorer. I like him to get in the end zone too. Other than that, anything else for this game?
I like Johnson, and I like Eckler.
Okay. Do the Commanders make the playoffs? They're currently 2nd in the NFC East at 8-5.
Yeah, they're standing at, I think, as the 7th seed right now. But I think they're 2 games, game and a half up on the Rams. I think they get in, but they better win this one.
If Tampa played the Commanders in the first round of the playoffs, who you got?
Tampa.
Attaboy.
If the Commanders played any playoff team in the first round, I would pick the other team. I think that
the Falcons
would lose. I think the Commanders would lose to the Rams. I think the Commanders would lose to the Niners.
What about the Falcons?
Yeah, I think they would lose to the Falcons.
Wow. Corey will like that. All right, let's move on to the next game. We got the Dolphins going on the road to Houston. This looks like a pretty good game on paper. Texans are 3-point favorites at home, which means it's close to a pick'em game. Over-unders 46.5. Game's important to both teams. The Dolphins are 6-7, and Houston is leading their division at 8-5, with Indianapolis coming up right behind them and not much room for error in that. Houston is one of those teams that does not impress me either. I think C.J. Stroud has had a complete slump of a sophomore year and kind of gone tremendously backwards in a lot of ways. Granted, he didn't have Nico Collins for a lot of weeks, and granted, they had some things going on, but when I watch him, he looks uncomfortable, looks like he's got happy feet, and doesn't look like he's slinging it like last year. I don't know if you feel the same way, but in this game, I'm probably going to go maybe a push Texans to win by exactly 3 on a last-minute field goal, and maybe like a 24-27 game to cover the over. Players I like in the game, I like Tank Dell to go opposite side, Jalen Ramsey and get in the end zone, figuring Jalen's going to be blanketing or running with Nico, although they do put Nico in the slot at times. And then I like my boy Jonnu Smith to stay hot for the Dolphins and get in the end zone again. That dude is really coming into his own and showing what Tennessee thought they had when they had him before. I like Jonnu a lot to get in the end zone as well. What do you think?
I would stay away from this game. This game could go either way. If I would say something, I would probably say that I like the under on this game, but not by much. But this is a game that I'm not really throwing much on. I'm staying away from a game like this. I do think the Dolphins win this game, but I'm not confident by any means.
Other than throwing in the standard HN and mixing, sub
course, yeah,
to a parlay and building.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Of course, yeah. I'm not talking about the negative, 230s to score or anything like that. Obviously I like HN. Obviously you like Mixon. How can you not? They get the lion's shares of their touches. They're obviously great fantasy players. Yada yada yada. The list goes on. But I'm talking about I don't really like Jonnu Smith. Like I don't think you could trust him in this game. Tank Dell, I can see Tank Dell getting loose. I could definitely see that, but I don't like Nico Collins this week. I don't really like Tyreek Hill this week. I think Derek Stingley is a good corner, and so I'm not high on those guys, but just your normal people I expect to perform, and that's pretty much it.
Jonnu's got 4 touchdowns in the last 4 weeks. Before that, every other week of the season, he had 1 touchdown combined. Tua has found a little safety blanket with Jonnu, and Tua has learned not to put his head down and run anymore and try to run over defenders. So I like the tight end for Tua. People pay so much attention to Waddle and Hill on the outside. He has so much field to work with. A buddy of mine actually coached Jonnu Smith when he was on the Patriots and said of all the athletes he's ever coached, that he is the biggest physical freak in the weight room that he has ever seen in his entire life of coaching, which makes sense when you look at the dude too. So I like Jonnu. I like Jonnu to get in the end zone. He'd be in a tight end stack or whatever I was throwing. If you have him in fantasy football, I think you can feel comfortable with how crappy the tight end position is of your starting Jonnu Smith probably as your tight end and rolling him out there. So
well, okay. Do you start Jonnu or do you start Jake Ferguson this week?
I hate Jake Ferg. I can't do it. I'm still hurt by the fact that they did not give my boy Brevin any more run after that game where he had like 4 yards and 53 or 4 catches and 53 yards in a quarter. They just sat the dude down and haven't seen him since. And he's behind Schoonmaker and Jake Ferguson, who's always hurt. Moving on to that game though, because we are going to Cowboys. Cowboys are on the road at Carolina. Carolina's a 3-point favorite in this game at home. Hang on one second, Chris. Be right back.
I think that Carolina's playing inspired football. I think that this game will not be on my TV and will not be anywhere near any of my bets. Any chance that I can get to not watch the Cowboys, I try my best because everybody knows they'll somehow be on Sunday Night Football next week. So, yep, I'm staying away from this game. Forget this game.
Well, so a couple things here. What business do the Carolina Panthers have being 3-point favorites? I mean, the Carolina Panthers have kept it close with teams. I think the Carolina Panthers have done well enough where people don't have their franchise looking for a quarterback anymore. I think they actually like Bryce Young now. I think Dave Canales has kind of saved another quarterback like people are crediting he did with Baker, and he's kind of figuring it out. So if you're the Panthers, I mean, I guess whether you pick 4th or 9th, you're just trying to take best player available and improve your team the best way you can. The Cowboys, I mean, they're 5-8. Are they technically eliminated from playoff contention? No, maybe not. I mean, what's their chance?
They were eliminated from playoff contention the moment they started Cooper Rush.
I do agree with that, but I do watch those games, and I think there's really a part of Jerry Jones that likes Cooper Rush. I don't know what it is. I think Jerry Jones has a little different aura about him when he watches Cooper Rush play as opposed to Dak, even though he paid Dak, because he's just like trying to prove that his team can win with an alternate quarterback. I think he has that little glimmer about him. I think he likes when Cooper Rush plays. Cooper Rush is a suitable NFL backup quarterback because the backup quarterback position is so poor now. He strikes me as like a modern day Colt McCoy, kind of come in and do your best and go 500 in 4 games or whatever you're going to do. And he had the offense going a little bit. Granted, it was against the Bengals, but they should have won that game. They should have won that game. He found a way to get CD the ball a couple times. Also, you'll notice if you watch Cowboys games, they're really trying to get Kevontae Turpin the ball a lot more, except for just kick returns. So he's going to start to become kind of a fantasy threat where people are going to start using him in fantasy football. They're going to line him up in the backfield. They're going to get him the ball in space and do all that stuff. So for that, I like Turpin this game. Really, other than that, 43. I mean, I think both teams can get up and down the field a couple times. I think that's a good line. I think the -3, I'd take the Cowboys probably to cover against the Panthers. But they did take a big wind out of their sails with how do you block a punt and lose a game? I mean, that's something that, is really, really hard to do. And calamity seems to be following the Cowboys around. So I don't like this game either. I mean, I'll have it on the background. I'll see the TDs when it comes up on Red Zone, but I won't be plugged into this one, needless to say. Last 1 p.m. game we got the Jets and A-Rod going to Jacksonville. And the Jets are somehow 3-point favorites, which could only happen if they were going to Jacksonville. Jacksonville is without Evan Ingram. He's out for the rest of the year. And they have Mac Jones under center. 40.5, which is the lowest over-under of the whole slate. What do you like about this game, if anything?
I like the Jets defense to score a touchdown. Mac Jones stinks. The Jaguars stink. The Jets defense, the Jets, they stink too. But these two teams stink. Give me a defensive touchdown, and I just think that the Jets defense is better.
Joseph, please hashtag Jets and snip that out so we can get some New York haters in here on Chris.
Yeah,
I want Fireman Ed to come for Chris based on those comments.
The Jets are a team to me that a lot of people aren't thinking about when I think the Jets have Cam Ward all over them. I think I could see the New York Jets as a Cam Ward guy.
I see it as a Justin Fields team.
I think that obviously Brian Thomas, they're going to try to feed Brian Thomas the ball, but Sauce Gardner is back.
Sauce Gardner, another one with a little slump this year.
Yeah, but again, he's back. He's not doing terrible. He's doing worse than last year, but he had an All-Pro season last year. I think Brian Thomas is up there as a rookie, but give me the Jets and give me a Jets defensive touchdown.
Wow, Jets to cover, Jets defensive touchdown. And what do you like for the over-under at 40.5? Under. Yeah, Mac Jones doesn't make it up and down the field too often. If he does, who do you think I like him to get the ball to, Chris? Our boy, Brenton Strange.
Yeah.
Dr. Strange. Another one I like for the Jets. Breece Hall's a little banged up. He may play, but I think the Jets are ready to start getting more carries to Braylon Allen. Dude is an absolute monster of a human. He's a big back. I don't know how much he weighs. I'm guessing he's 240 some pounds. I mean, the guy looks
player in the NFL.
Yeah, the guy looks like a moose, and they're ready to get him some goal line touches. They seem to struggle around the goal line. Breece usually scores from outside. the 10 when he does get in. So I like Braylon Allen to get in the end zone. I think they're going to start using a little thunder and lightning down there and treating him like the pounder. So that's it for the 1 o'clock games. Anybody want to throw anything in the comments covering the 1 o'clock games, asking start sit stuff for fantasy? Any questions you may have for Chris or I, just throw them in there. We want to be fully interactive. Joseph, go ahead and put the link up in there. If anyone wants to join the feed, feel free as well. It doesn't just have to be me and Chris up here. Anyone's welcome to join at all times. Let's have a conversation about football. It's the best time of the year. It's fantasy playoffs. Football season's end and the playoffs are approaching. If you got a team with skin in the game, you're excited. If your team doesn't have any skin in the game, then you're kind of ready to figure out what the rest of the season holds for your team and figure out how you're moving on from it. So moving on to the 4 o'clock games, we are – hi, honey. Hi. Sorry, you got to come over here to say hi.
Sorry.
Say hi. Hi. My wife has entered the chat. Hi.
Wait, how do
That's Chris. You're right there.
I know,
You're
but
just on
how
the
do
screen.
I get on camera?
You're on camera. It's live streaming. That's
Hi,
the camera.
Chris.
Oh.
Long time.
There he is. Have fun at the Nutcracker.
Yes, it was great.
Wow.
Spent too much money.
This is my Nutcracker right here.
Yeah.
What do you mean you spent too much money?
Kidding.
Oh, great. So we're definitely going to have to put one of these together now. That's okay. So nice comment. Nice. Steelers going to Philly at the Eagles. Eagles are 5.5-point favorites. Over-unders 43. Should be a good game. Steelers are leading the division. They're 10-3. Philadelphia's leading their division at 11-2. Philly's pretty much got it locked on the division. I think the Ravens could make a run at this depending on how these next couple weeks go for Pittsburgh. So they both have something to play for. Interstate rivalry. Should be a gritty game. Both good defenses. I think the NFL is kind of treating the Eagles like they have a direct path through the NFC right to the Lions and into the Super Bowl. I don't know that I necessarily believe that yet because I've seen a lot of different versions of Jalen Hurts along the way. Luckily for Philadelphia, they added Saquon Barkley. And if you added Saquon Barkley and you drafted Saquon Barkley, you are probably almost 100% for sure in the playoffs and probably the first or second seed in your league because he's had such an incredible year. With that being said, he's still not the favorite to win the NFL MVP somehow. Chris, you know who the favorite to win the MVP is?
Josh Allen.
Josh Allen, minus 400. So Saquon is having one of the all-time greatest running back years. I remember watching the Giants Hard Knocks and seeing the owner of the Giants sit there and go, I don't know if I'm going to be able to sleep tonight if he goes to Philadelphia. Well, Saquon not only went to Philadelphia, but he has had one of the best seasons of all time for any running back. I personally am a huge fan of Saquon. I love his story. I love his work ethic. I've liked him since he was in college. I think he's a great testament to a back. And a lot of people actually believe that Saquon Barkley is going to be the last running back ever inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame based on how the NFL currently treats its running backs, how short their careers are, how much time they have to accumulate stats, and how most teams just move on from them very quickly. A lot of places think that Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry are that last running back class. I think McCaffrey, you could probably put him in that class if he gets his health stuff together and kind of continues to accumulate stats. But the running back is kind of a dying position. It's kind of you're here for 3 or 4 years, you're gone, we're getting new legs out of college, and that's what it is. I think Saquon may have broke that mold a little bit when he showed that there's a reason you pay running backs because I can literally put the whole franchise on my back and take you places. So I like the fact he's doing that for the Eagles. Do I think the Eagles are going to the Super Bowl? Not 100% sold on that yet. Not sold that they're a better complete team than the Lions. I really think this is the Lions' year. I think if I had Sirianni and Campbell on opposing sidelines, I would trust Dan Campbell to get the job done as opposed to Sirianni, even though Sirianni went to Mount, hometown boy, and whatever. I like the Lions' chances of getting there outside of the fact that Vegas and the most powerful entities in all of sports gaming are all betting against them. That's the only negative I think about the Lions. So, Chris, with the Eagles being 5.5-point favorites at home, Steelers coming in, just hopping on a bus and headed up the interstate, who you like? 40.5 is the over-under. Big game.
I just am glad that football is finally going to start on Sunday at 4:25. I mean, what a good slate of 4 o'clock games. The Steelers Eagles, give me the Steelers. I think that they're
Steelers to cover, Steelers to win.
I like them at plus 200 to win money line.
Wow.
I really love them at plus 5.5. AJ Brown, Jalen Hurts, completely not on the same page. It's Barkley or nothing the last 3 or 4 weeks, which it's been
Yeah.
Barkley.
Now you
But
got Devontae back for this game, right? Devontae's back for this game,
yeah, he was back.
but no
Yeah.
Dallas Goedert.
Yep, no got Dallas Goedert. He's
Yeah.
out. But they do have Devontae Smith. Again, give me. I'm not sold on the Eagles secondary. They have played better. I think the Steelers win this one outright. Plus 200. I think they're going to be in my betting. That's for sure.
Steelers money line. Well, I don't like the Steelers money line. I like the Eagles to win the game in a close one. I do not like the Eagles to cover the 5.5. I think this is another field goal game. I think this is the last minute Jake Elliott field goal. I think we see good versions of both Russell Wilson and Jalen Hurts and some good defense in this game. And I think we see both teams trying to establish and dominate the run on both sides. I think without Pickens, the Steelers are going to have to lean on running the ball. They do not have a wide receiver that can beat those corners for the Eagles. They're going to have to run the ball. They're going to have to use Warren and Harris out of the backfield, and they're going to have to hope that the field opens up for Freiermuth in the middle. Those corners, and especially Cooper DeJean from the Eagles, is becoming a lockdown NFL corner. I've seen him on multiple weeks shut down opposing number ones. You watched him a week or two ago tackle Derrick Henry and take him off his feet when Derrick Henry turned around as a pretty big feat. He's a complete player. When he was coming out of college, I wanted Tampa to draft him because he looked like he could do anything you needed him to do on the field. I really, really like him as a player. I really like those guys to lock down the outside. I think you might see a little bit of Russell getting it done with his legs too. I think you might see a lot of people covered and Russ maybe cover the over for his rushing yards, and we see him loosen up the legs this time too. I like this game a lot as a football fan. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. I think it's up to a lot of different things that happen. If I had to pick two people to get in the end zone, I do like Freiermuth and I like Calcaterra to get in the end zone. I like double tight ends, both to get in the end zone. No Dallas Goedert. I like the field to be open in the middle. I just like tight ends. I think every game I'm picking a tight end or I feel like it, but I think this is one of those gritty tight end. Maybe each team scores a touchdown, the rest is field goals type games. So great game to watch though, for sure. Moving on to the next 425 game, we got the Colts. The Colts are currently 6-7, and they are going to Mile High to face the Broncos. Broncos are 4.5-point favorites. The over-under on this game is 44. Bo Nix is number 2 in Rookie of the Year odds right now at plus 240. He's had quite a surge since everyone was just ready to hand Jaden Daniels the trophy, 4 or 5 weeks into the season. Sean Payton has really taken a lot of, or should take a lot of credit for what he's done with Bo Nix, even though Bo Nix entered the NFL as the most experienced quarterback coming out of the draft. I actually like watching the Broncos play. I enjoyed when the Broncos played the Browns, despite the outcome of the game. I think it was a good overall game to watch. A lot of young players on the field, a lot of people trying to establish themselves. I really like the Broncos defense. And as far as the Colts go, I don't know that I can trust in any capacity Anthony Richardson to do anything except put his foot in the ground and go run over a linebacker. So, watching this game, what do you think that's going to look like? The Broncos given 4.5 points, over under 44. How are the Colts going to move the ball in the Broncos?
Well, that's the thing. Anthony Richardson needs to prove that he could throw the ball. It's just not sustainable to just run the ball every time. I mean, he doesn't even look to pass. He's got to learn how to read a defense, and until he does, I'm going to take the opposite team, especially Mile High. Give me the Broncos in this one.
And they need to win. The Broncos need to win. They're right in the middle of the pack in that AFC West. Them in the Chargers 8-5.
Especially against the Colts. I mean, here, if they lose this game, they're one game back of the Colts, or ahead of the Colts, and the Colts have the tiebreaker now. So it's a big game for both teams, to be honest with you. I mean, Colts pretty much lose this one. They're pretty much not going to make the playoffs. I don't think they win this one, though. I think Anthony Richardson has the capabilities of being good. I think he has a great arm. I think Josh Downs, Michael Pittman. I actually like the skill players better on the Colts, but Broncos defense has been playing great. Bo Nix has been playing great. Bo Nix looks like a veteran out there, even though, I know he's a rookie, but, he played about 7 years in college. I like the Broncos in this one.
How many picks Anthony Richardson throw?
Well, you would have to want to throw the ball to throw an interception.
Yeah.
Total turn. I could see him. To be honest with you, I could see this game. The Broncos hit hard. They play hard. They run downhill hard. I could see this game being one where he gets concussed.
Well,
I think he has. I think the Broncos get about 3 turnovers total.
one of my favorite ways to watch a game: the double quarterback rushing touchdown. Bo Nix got them legs. Anthony Richardson got them legs.
That could, yeah.
It only takes one play from either one of them. It only takes a pass interference on the one and a couple quarterback sneaks to get you to gold. I like that play in this game. Nix and Anthony Richardson both to get in rushing. I personally like the Broncos. I think the Broncos cover. I think they win at home. I think they handle business. The only way to beat the Broncos through the air is you put a receiver in the slot and completely away from Patrick Surtain on the other side of the field, and that's the only way you win. That's how they did it with Judy. That's how they were going off until actually Judy started to come through towards the end in his revenge game. But I like the Broncos a lot. I'm rooting for the Broncos in this game. I want to see them make the playoffs in Bo Nix rookie year. I kind of like what they got going on overall. So I
think this is a 23-13 type of game.
I'm going to let you take the lead with this one, Chris. We got Bills-Lions. Lions are 2.5-point favorites. Chris is a huge Lions fan. They're 2.5-point favorites at home. It's a 425 game. The over-under is the biggest over-under of the entire slate of all the games at 54.5. Chris, give us your take on Bills-Lions.
You know, you see that over and you think it's pretty low. You know, I don't see how you don't think that but it's Vegas, so you always gotta be concerned of it. Obviously, our best defense is going to be control the clock, try to control the tempo, keep the ball out of Josh Allen's hands. We are wearing our alternative black jerseys with those blue helmets, which those are the sexiest jerseys in the league. Give me the over. I still, here you do worry about it because I think a lot of people are going to hammer the over. But I don't see how both these teams aren't in the 30s scoring. And give me St. Brown. Give me, Shakir. Give me James Cook. Give me Gibbs. I'm
out on James Cook. I'm done with him too.
I just think that I think this is going to be a fun one, an entertaining one, and I obviously I'm not going to comment on who I think is going to win the game, but I think this very well might be a Super Bowl preview.
Well, I think you might have as many people that are Browns fans watch this game as they do the actual Browns game, because this game is a preview for what could be the biggest fan Super Bowl of all time. If the Lions and Bills both get in the Super Bowl, with their fan bases and how hungry they've both been for a Super Bowl winner, you're not going to have a ton of people that root for the underdogs that have always wanted a different team to win that's not the Kansas City Chiefs. You're going to have every Browns fan watching. You're going to have everybody tuned into this to watch this game and to hope that this is a Super Bowl preview. They actually played 2 years ago. Do you remember that game, Chris, the Bills and Lions?
Yeah, it was on Thanksgiving
Day. And the outcome of that game, the Bills won 28-25. Now,
yep.
The Bills are coming off the game against the Rams, the track meet that they were just on. The Lions are on the other side of it with one loss. The Lions happen to be, in their, infinite bad luck, they're also having their best year ever in a year where their division's having the best year ever. And the Minnesota Vikings are only a game behind them. And then the Packers are just slowly behind them. So they still got to fight for everything they got. They got some other games coming up, but this one's a big one for both franchises. Allen looks like last time he played the Lions, he had a hell of a rushing game too. You can always count on Josh Allen's legs and the improvisation to get somewhere. The entities I like to get in the end zone this game is I like both guys on the outside. I like Amari to come back and get a TD. I like Jameson Williams to get a TD on the other side. Those are my two plus guys. I could see a long 70-yard bomb to Jameis. I could see a long 55-yard bomb to Amari. The same way. Amari's been kind of Josh Allen's outlet a little bit, and I think Amari's due to score a touchdown. So I like
The
that.
Lions aren't the greatest in coverage of tight ends, so Kincaid might sneak into the end zone as well.
Yeah, they just don't, since they've had Coleman and Cooper, they really don't use those guys as much as they should. I mean, I think Dawson Knox is one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL that never gets a pass thrown to him and never used because Kincaid got drafted and they got some help on the outside. The Bills are just so explosive and so deep, you don't know where it's coming from. I mean, even Mac Hollins has become a favorite target, and that guy was on like 4 or 5 NFL teams, third string before he got to the Bills and landed with Josh Allen. So it could be coming from all different directions. Just it really hurts to have James Cook and watch Ty Johnson score. It hurts my soul. So that's probably the best game of the slate. I'm excited to watch that one at 4:25. My team plays at 4:25 as well. Tampa has to go into LA. They play the Chargers, who are 2.5-point favorites. Over under on the game's 45.5. Tampa needs to win this game. They're ahead of the division right now, but they got the Falcons right behind them. They cannot end up with the same record as the Falcons because the Falcons on the tiebreaker. They beat us twice. They need to win this game. Unfortunately, we're a little banged up. We're missing our 2 starting safeties. We're missing Mike Edwards and Antoine Winfield. The Chargers are hitting their stride as far as getting the ball downfield, and Harbaugh is to the point where he's not going to pound the run 40 times a game anymore if it's not working. He's going to trust Herbert to let it loose and get the ball downfield regardless of what receivers are playing for that team. I really think if Harbaugh can add a couple weapons to that receiving core in the next couple of years, we could be setting up for a Chargers consistently at the top of the AFC with how well Herbert plays, how good Harbaugh coaches, and some of the entities that they have around them. As much as I would love Tampa to win, I know Baker's got his work cut out for him on the road with only Mike Evans as his outlet and no Godwin. The backs are playing well. I don't know if Bucky Irvin is playing or not. I think he's still questionable. Rashad White's playing well, but we're not going to line up and run the ball down the Chargers' throat. That's not something we're going to do. We're going to have to get Baker involved. He's going to have to probably throw the ball 25, 30 times a game. And anytime Baker does that, just like he did against the Raiders, there's a chance for 2 or 3 interceptions, unfortunately. So they got their work cut out for them. I like this one to be close. I hope Tampa can go get a road win. If Tampa can go win this game on the road, I really think they establish themselves and actually have people start believing they're a playoff team. If they lose this one, I think we got our work cut out for us because we cannot end up even with the Falcons, and we can't just count on the Falcons to lose the rest of the way. I probably like the Chargers to cover, unfortunately, against my own team and win by a field goal. And I do like the over of the game because I think we're going to have to keep up in a track meet where the Chargers are probably going to drop 27 to 30 points on us, and we're going to have to keep it close somehow. Mike Evans, Chris and I both like Stone Smart. Disley's out with a shoulder, also on my blacklist now. Anybody else you like from this game?
I tell you, I like the Chargers big in this one, and I know you hate hearing that, but I don't see what the Bucs do great. The Chargers are good defensively. I think Bosa gets after Bosa and Mack get after Baker. I think this is a 30-13 Chargers win. I think that the Chargers win pretty big in this one.
Well, thanks for that, buddy. I could have just said the Bills could have walked all over you too. I didn't do that to you, but I get it. I understand. No Antoine Winfield, no Mike Edwards. It's going to be there's a good chance that the Bucs could go across the country and get dog walked. I just hope it doesn't happen. The nice thing about Baker Mayfield is the competitor in him gives him a puncher's chance in any game. If Baker's playing good Baker football, he's got a chance against any team in the NFL. But if he's playing bad Baker football, there's a chance it can get ugly real quick. So I'm hoping it does not go that particular way. If Bucky Irving's playing, it helps because we can keep their offense off the field. Bucky Irving is a stud. I think he's a great future piece for the franchise. I think our running backs are great. I look for us using the running backs a lot in space instead of relying on the wide receivers this game against their secondary. So hopefully we could pull it out. Another good game. I mean, 3 good games out of the first 4 we covered. Actually, all 4 at the 4:25 slate. And usually that's the time that everybody's napping, getting ready for dinner, and figuring out what they're eating before the Sunday night football game. This Sunday's a little different. Your 1 o'clock is go get your errands done and do all that stuff. Unless you're a Browns fan, you're watching the Chiefs game. Be home at 4:25. Be ready to roll because you got 3 or 4 games on with huge playoff implications that are actually going to be competitive, which is nice. other than this next game, which is Patriots rolling into Arizona. So that's 425, right, Chris?
Yes.
Yep, 425. Arizona, the Cardinals are somehow 6-point favorites, which would mean they're only playing the New England Patriots at home. Over/unders 46.5. What are you playing for here if you're the New England Patriots, Chris?
You're playing for the draft rights of Travis Hunter,
Which means you have to draft what spot in the draft, do you believe?
Well, here I think that the Raiders are going to go up, or someone's going to go up to get Shador. I think Cam Ward will go to the Giants or the Jets, one of those two. I think they'll fight for it. I think Travis Hunter, I think Mason Graham very well might play his way into a top 3 pick, probably top 5.
Mm-hmm.
But I necessarily, I wouldn't be surprised if the Patriots don't draft Travis Hunter, just because I don't see his style being the Patriot way. But here I see him, like a Mason Graham being a Patriot, like or Will Johnson, one of the, just more Patriot football way. But I mean, if I were them, I would draft them. They need them. They could use them either position, to be honest with you. The Patriots stink. I think the Cardinals. I mean, do I love the Cardinals as a football team? No, but
Cardinals are 6-7, by the way, so they're not completely eliminated. They're somehow in the hunt category on the side over there, where they need to win this game. Patriots could play spoiler that to a little bit. We've seen moments with Drake May that actually look like he is the guy they thought they drafted and going to be a future piece of the team. Also, arguably the Cardinals' best offensive player, Marvin Harrison Jr., is going to be against the best NFL version of a lockdown young corner right now in Christian Gonzalez. If the Patriots can add Travis Hunter as a piece and put him opposite, because most people think that Travis Hunter, they're going to start him at corner and then run him in certain plays at wide receiver. If they could put him opposite Christian Gonzalez, that's a good foundation for a future defense if they paired that up or got that. I think I like the Patriots to cover the 6, but I like Arizona to win. I don't think I give Arizona enough credit for being consistent enough to cover 6 points on any NFL team. As far as anytime touchdown scores go, I do like the over in this game at 46.5 because I think both teams do score. Anytime touchdown score, I like Mike Wilson to go opposite Christian Gonzalez on the other side. He seems like he's a safety blanket for Kyler when Marvin Harrison Jr. is not open. And I like Drake May to have a Hunter Henry game where he finds Hunter Henry in the end zone on a 30-yard post across the field on the historically bad against the tight end Arizona Cardinals franchise, which for as long as I've been playing fantasy football or watching football, tight ends score on the Cardinals. And that's just like, I don't know what it is or what it is about that franchise, but it seems like tight ends are always getting in the end zone against the Cardinals. So I like Hunter Henry to get in. I like Michael Wilson to get in opposite Marvin Harrison Jr.
Is this the week Trey McBride gets the end zone? Trey McBride, I think, is 6 or 7 catches away from having a record of, I think, catching 88 balls, 96 balls or something like that.
What record's that for tight ends?
Yeah, well, without scoring a touchdown.
Oh,
He has a ton of targets, a ton of catches, a ton of yards, but somehow, some way, has not found the end zone. But his odds every week are pretty good to find the end zone, which is amazing to me how they're so good when he has not found the end zone all year.
yeah.
I do think that eventually he will score a touchdown this year.
Well, that's something. I will tell you, of all the teams in the NFL and the ones that I just despise watching play, Arizona has got to be near the top of that list. I mean, when they're on TV and I'm watching them, even watching their highlights, I'm like, just what is this team doing? Like, they're just hard to watch. And then every time I'm playing against them or a player on their team, I'm just seeing Kyler run up and down the field like he's back in college and just running this 2-minute drill just to score against my team. It's just the bane of my existence watching the Cardinals play. So
this one could be dual quarterback rushing touchdowns as well. Drake May and Kyler may very well get in there. So if there is a dart out there, give me Drake May, Kyler Murray, and then the two other ones that you said earlier. Which ones did you say?
Bo Nix, Anthony Richardson.
Bo Nix, Anthony Richardson, Drake May, and Kyler Murray.
Oh, the quad QB score.
Yeah, give me those four, and that is my dart of the week.
That is quite a dart. All four to get in. That's probably nice. That's probably nice odds there. After the 4:25 slate, we move on to Sunday Night Football, and we got the Green Bay Packers, Chris's favorite, rolling into Seattle against the 12th man. The Packers are going into Seattle, and they are 2.5-point favorites on the road against the 12th man, while Seattle is still in the playoff race, leading their division, and the over-under on that game is 45.5. Sunday Night Football in Seattle, that crowd's going to be fired up. They've had all day to get ready. Some of the loudest fans in the NFL. Jordan Love rolling into Seattle. What do you think of this game?
I like Seattle.
Seattle to cover or Seattle to win?
I like Seattle to cover. I think that I'm not ready to say that they're going to win, but I think they're going to keep it close, and it's going to be a very, very close game. Here, Jordan Love is turning the ball over a lot, but Josh Jacobs is that dude. Josh Jacobs has played very well. I like a Josh Jacobs score here, and I like. Jackson Smith-Njigba is really becoming one of the top receivers in the NFL. He is very good. So give me Njigba and Josh Jacobs to find the end zone on Sunday Night Football.
Gotcha. I like the Seahawks to win this game. I think Jordan Love's due for a national televised fart on TV. I do think this is a running back game. I like my traditional 2 TDs apiece for Josh Jacobs and Zach Charbonnet to both get in twice. You get 1.5 from each of them, and that's just a great parlay. Either one of them individually are low odds because they think they're both going to get in. Kenneth Walker's doubtful to play. Obviously, this is pending him not playing. I like Charbonnet and Jacobs both to get in twice. I think that's a great way to watch a football game, especially if both those guys score in the first half. I like that play. I think this is a good game, and I think this does cover the over. I think Seattle has to score 30 points to win this game at home. I think they have to score 30. We need a good Geno Smith game to win. And I know certainly you're rooting for Seattle to win, right?
Yeah, but not because of the Green Bay thing fully, but really it's because I really do not want the Los Angeles Rams in the playoffs.
Yeah, I gotcha. I agree with that. And now we move on to a doubleheader Monday night slate. We got 2 games on Monday night, kind of weird late season games. Both of them not ideal, great games. So I'm glad they're on at the same time, so I have to watch both. But we got the Chicago Bears rolling into Minnesota to play the Vikings. Vikings are 6.5-point favorites at home. Over-unders 43.5. Vikings are 1 game behind the Lions. This seems on paper as a pretty easy win for them, but it's also a divisional game. Sam Darnold, as good of a year as he's had and as great as he looks in moments, is always due for a fart. This could be against the Bears defense, which can show up sometimes and play good. Could be a trap game for them inside the division. Who do you like here in this game with the Vikings almost a full touchdown favorite at home?
I absolutely love Bears +7. Minnesota is winning games. They're doing great, but a lot of their games that they're winning are 1-possession games. I think I saw today or the other day, if the results in 1-possession games went the other way, they would go from 11-2 to like 5. And it's something ridiculous.
I saw it weeks ago about the Chiefs as well. The Chiefs were going to be 2-10 if it went the opposite way.
Yeah. So at the end of the day, I think the Bear in a divisional matchup, I think the Bears +7. I love that. I love DJ Moore to get involved. DJ Moore to get involved this week. And of course, Jordan Addison is probably the most on fire wide receiver there is. So
Include him and Judy. Yep.
Yep. I mean, my goodness, Jordan Addison's on fire.
Yep, he's been on fire on my bench every time because I still can't believe in it to happen because it's just Justin Jefferson, and I always think anytime the Vikings score, I'm going to look in the box score. Justin Jefferson scored, and every time now I see Addison because so much attention's getting rolled his way. Vikings can compete. They can run it. They're complete. They're well coached. With what Kevin O'Connell did this year with Darnold is pretty crazy. It's great, but I think the Vikings roll them. The last time the Vikings played the Bears, T.J. Hawkinson had one of his best games of the whole season. He had like 10 or 12 catches. I like for him to stay on fire, get in the end zone. And then I like in garbage time probably a Keenan Allen touchdown from Caleb Williams when he's coming back up the field, trying to get them back in the game in the third and fourth quarter. He seems to look for Keenan Allen a lot as a safety blanket. I like Keenan Allen and Hawkinson to get in the end zone in this one. And then the second Monday night game, we got the Dirty Birds, Corey's Atlanta Falcons, rolling into Las Vegas to play the Raiders. Desmond Ridder revenge game. Desmond Ridder, probably the starting quarterback for the Raiders because Aiden O'Connell's hurt. Atlanta coming in a situation where they need to win a game. I believe they've lost their last 4 games in a row. Kirk Cousins playing like absolute turd right now and then waiting to pull the trigger on Michael Penix if that's going to happen. I think Atlanta, if they lose this game and the Bucs were to win against the Chargers, I really think we might see some decisions in Atlanta on personnel and stuff take place to try to get them back on track if they lose a 5th game in the row, and especially if they lose a 5th game in the row to the Las Vegas Raiders, who are probably actively trying to just evaluate young talent, put people in the game, and set themselves up for whatever draft pick they're going to get in the top 3 picks of whatever it is. So on paper, this looks like Atlanta should have a bounce-back game. They should cover and win by 7 to 10 points. You see this any differently transpiring in Las Vegas?
I think Atlanta wins big. This is a huge get-right game for them. I think they score over 30 and they win by double digits. I do.
Over-under at 44?
Yeah, give me that. Give me the over. I do think Trey Tucker probably finds a long ball.
Joseph will like that.
But yeah, I mean, Darnell Mooney, I think, that might be an under the radar guy that finds, if not 1, maybe even 2 touchdowns. He was limited though in practice. I did see that, but I think that's just more or less just, precaution type thing.
Throw a 2-person dart at this one. Desmond Ridder rushing in the revenge, and a reappearance of Kyle Pitts, who's due to score a touchdown every 7 weeks. I think both those things could happen. When Tampa played the Raiders, they left a lot of room in the middle of the field for Cade Otton to get loose a little bit. I think the same thing happens with Kyle Pitts, and I think we see one of those box score look up and how did Kyle Pitts score a 64-yard touchdown? How did this even happen? He's gotten me 3s and 5s for the entire season. I think we see a game like that for Pitts. So all in all, it's such a wide spectrum of games. There's some really, really good games stuffed in with a bunch of crappy games this week. But I think after this week, we have a pretty good determination of what the playoff field's starting to set up like. And I think we're going to knock off a couple teams that are playoff pretenders right now that should be probably cast by the wayside as not participating in the bracket as well. And speaking of college football brackets will come out this week. We'll start into college football brackets, start talking about odds and stuff on that. We'll probably cover that on the next episode of this and kind of walk through our takes on the bracket in addition to the NFL Sunday. And we'll also go back into these picks here, see how we did over the weekend, see how everybody's fantasy season's going. I know Chris is one of the top 2 seeds in the league I'm in with him. That particular league, I've been eliminated already. I'm seeded in the other leagues that I'm going in, so I got important games ahead. I don't have buys in any league, so I got to win this week as well. So if you ever have starter sit questions, if you ever want to cover any topics on the show, if you ever want to chime in on a game, use the link in the StreamYard below. Feel free to chime in on any platform. Joseph will always throw your comments up there. Appreciate the happy birthday. My birthday's tomorrow, 42 years young tomorrow. Still not as old as the GOAT, Tom Brady, when he was out there still hurling balls up and down the field. So appreciate the birthday comment there. And I want this show to kind of grow into what we make it together, as far as me and Chris also having conversations back and forth, but all the fans of Joe's channel. Joseph's given us a great platform to come up here and talk about football, sports, basketball, baseball, whatever we're talking about at the time. But also we're growing content for the other avenues that he has on the channel as well. His mental health podcast, The Real Podcast, Mike's podcast about fandom and sports in general. So we got some great talents on the show, some people adding content all the time. We all are friends in real life too. We all live locally in Northeast Ohio, and we all absolutely love sports. So anything sports related, we're always down to talk about. We're always down to jump on here, answer any comments, like and subscribe, see when we're coming on live, and the content will continue to grow. Thanks, everybody. We're out. Chris, you got anything for him?
Nope. Thank you.
Till next week, everybody. Appreciate you guys. Thanks for watching The Fix.